There's a whisper running through time, a current that only the awake can sense. It calls to the few who are ready, the ones chosen to step into a shift that is already unfolding. You are hearing these words because that current has reached you. It is not coincidence. If your mind is everywhere, your life follows. I have walked this path of discipline and silence long enough to see the truth. Mastery begins the moment you notice what takes your focus and reclaim it. Attention is not small, it is the thread that weaves destiny itself. When your awareness is directed with clarity, freedom opens. When it is scattered, you are a prisoner in your own life. In this teaching, you will learn the overlooked practices of Shaolin life that few speak of, the art of neigong, cultivating inner strength through breath and awareness, the secret of no mind, where thought dissolves and action flows like water, the discipline of ritual, those small daily acts that carve destiny more surely than grand ambition. You will discover why silence can break chains louder than shouting, why restraint is not weakness, but power waiting in stillness, and how wealth of spirit precedes wealth in every other form. Stay with me until the end, because these truths are not scattered lessons. They are steps in a path. Walk all of them, and you will understand why this shift is not spoken lightly. It is God's whisper moving into action. To those who hear, it is both a warning and a calling. Welcome to Shaolin Soulfire. This is where the chosen sharpen their focus, awaken their strength, and walk with clarity. Subscribe now and step onto the path prepared for you. A river does not rush because it is eager. It moves because it must. Day after day, it carves the earth with patience, not force. Discipline is the same. Many think it is a chain, a weight that binds the spirit, but in truth, it is the quiet rhythm that gives life its shape. When I first entered the monastery, I believed strength came from fire, from pushing beyond exhaustion, but the masters showed me something different. They woke before the sun, every day, without question. They swept the temple floors, trained their bodies, sat in silence, not because they felt like it, but because the act itself shaped them. It was not punishment. It was a vow, repeated in every movement, to walk a path regardless of passing moods. Discipline is not built in moments of excitement. Anyone can act when energy is high. The true test is when the body resists, when the mind argues, when the spirit feels heavy. In those moments, each step taken becomes a victory. That step is the foundation of strength, far deeper than what can be seen on the surface. Shaolin teaching says, do not wait for motivation. Motivation is a guest, it comes and goes. Discipline is the host that remains. Each act, no matter how small, is a seed. Water it with consistency and roots will grow strong. Neglect it for even a little while, and the soil hardens again. This is why the masters insist on daily practice, not for perfection, but for presence. To rise, bow, breathe, move, without asking the heart for permission. Over time, this quiet commitment weaves into the fabric of the soul, until the act and the one who acts are no longer separate. This is where inner strength begins. A man once came to the temple seeking to become strong. He trained fiercely, striking the wooden posts until his fists bled, running the mountain paths until his legs trembled. Yet his eyes carried frustration. Why do I not feel closer to mastery? He asked. The old master answered with a question, when you eat, are you eating? When you walk, are you walking? The young man was silent. His body was moving, but his mind was always elsewhere. Shaolin wisdom is clear. Strength is not born from endless struggle alone. Grinding without awareness is like swinging a sword in the dark. You may strike, but the blade never lands true. Presence is what sharpens the edge. Purpose is what guides the strike. Together, they create art in even the smallest act. To live this way is to let silence enter your steps. When you breathe, you know you are breathing. When you move, you know why you are moving. The energy is not scattered, not wasted. It flows into a single point. This is what alignment feels like. Not tension, but a centered calm that makes action precise. Discipline, then, is not about forcing yourself forward without rest. It is about honoring both stillness and movement. The monk who meditates for hours yet ignores daily duty is unbalanced. The worker who toils without pause, blind to their own exhaustion, is the same. True mastery is the dance between being and doing, where each supports the other. When presence fills your actions, clarity comes. You no longer chase everything, you choose the one thing that matters. This is the way of the Shaolin path: harmony, not excess, to act without losing yourself, and to rest without falling asleep to life. A young student once asked why so much attention was given to form. The same stances, the same movements, repeated endlessly. The master placed a bowl of water in his hands and said, "Walk without spilling." With every step the student took, the water rippled. At first his body was strong, but his mind impatient. His pace quickened, and the water spilled over. Only after many days did he realize the bowl was not the real lesson. The water simply reflected the state of his heart. This is the essence of training. Martial arts, qigong, meditation. They are not separate paths but mirrors held up to the self. A clenched fist in practice may reveal an unhealed anger. A restless body in meditation may show the mind's unwillingness to settle. A shallow breath during qigong might uncover hidden fear. What the body shows is not a flaw, but a signal. Here is where attention must be placed. To see this clearly is already a form of mastery. For the common man reacts without knowing why, while the disciplined one observes his own patterns and learns to shift them. Training is the safe ground where the shift begins. Instead of exploding in anger, you notice the tension in your shoulders. Instead of collapsing under doubt, you steady the breath and stand again. Slowly, the habit of reaction gives way to the choice of response. The body remembers every lesson. Each repetition in form, each moment of awareness in stillness is an engraving upon the heart. Over time, movement becomes clear, breath becomes deep, and mind becomes steady. The outer practice refines the inner one, until both are one mirror, reflecting discipline, patience, and presence. A monk once carried a heavy bucket of water up the mountain path. The handle cut into his hand, and with each step the burden grew. Finally, he set it down, his arms trembling. The master, watching from above, said softly, "The weight was real, but much of your suffering came from refusing to let it go sooner." The monk understood. So it is with regret and shame we grip them long after their lesson is given, and in doing so we carry pain that no longer serves us. Inner peace is not the absence of storms. The world will shake, people will fail, and memories will rise uninvited. To chase a life without chaos is to chase a mirage. What matters is whether you can remain rooted when the winds come. The Shaolin path does not teach denial. It teaches seeing clearly, feeling deeply, and then releasing gently. Regret whispers of the past. Shame coils itself around the heart. Yet neither changes what has already been lived. The masters say, acknowledge them with compassion as you would a traveler passing through. Bow to the lesson they carry, then let them walk on. To hold them too tightly is to let them live longer than they should. This release is not weakness. It is strength born of clarity. It takes courage to look at wounds without flinching and discipline to free yourself from their hold. In this way, peace becomes not a fragile state that shatters with each hardship, but a steady flame that endures through night and storm alike. To walk with such peace is to be unshaken in a shaking world, carrying nothing but the present step, light and unburdened. There was once a farmer who looked at his vast field and sighed. The soil was dry, the work endless. Each day he delayed, telling himself he would begin when the season felt right. An old traveler passing by handed him a single seed and said, "Plant this now. The field does not need to be finished today, only begun." The farmer placed the seed in the ground, and from that small act, the rest of the work slowly unfolded. This is the power of ritual. Walter Gerger, a Shaolin master who walks in the modern world, teaches that great change rarely comes from sudden bursts of effort. It is born in small, consistent acts, tiny tasks that are easy to begin and impossible to ignore once in motion. A 5-minute ritual of breathing before the day starts, writing a single line when the page feels empty, stretching for a moment when the body longs for rest. Each seed planted in time grows roots. Inertia thrives on delay. The mind whispers of the enormity of the task, convincing you to wait, to postpone, to do it later. But momentum does not come from waiting. It is sparked by the smallest movement. One step taken is already a breach in the walls of hesitation. Once you move, the body remembers, the mind follows, and action flows more easily. The ancients understood this well. The temple was not built in a day, but stone by stone, ritual by ritual. Every bay, every breath, every repetition was a small act of alignment. And over years, these small acts became an unshakable foundation. In the same way, your 5 minutes today are not trivial. They are the beginning of a field already waiting to bloom. A master potter once shaped clay with such ease that his students marveled. One day, he set aside his tools and sat quietly, watching a child mold a lump of earth into a crooked little bowl. When asked why he was wasting time, he replied, "This child reminds me of what it feels like to discover. If I lose that, my hands may be skilled, but my spirit will grow stiff." This is the essence of beginner's mind. To know much yet remain open as if you know little. Expertise can become a cage when pride clings too tightly. The moment you believe there's nothing more to learn, growth halts and the living river of wisdom turns into stagnant water. Shaolin teaching urges flexibility. Like bamboo that bends but does not break. The curious mind stays alive, sensing subtle shifts, adapting to what the present moment asks. It does not rely on old victories or past knowledge alone. It listens, it explores, it dares to question again. This spirit of inquiry is as vital in meditation as it is in worldly endeavors. The greatest shifts, whether spiritual awakening or material transformation, do not come to those who guard their expertise with rigid walls. They come to those who meet each moment as fresh, alert, and inventive. A beginner's mind brings humility, and with humility comes clarity. Discipline sustains the practice, but curiosity keeps it alive. Together they form a path that never hardens, always unfolding, always new. To walk with a beginner's mind is to accept that every step contains a lesson, no matter how many steps you've taken before. In this way, mastery is not a destination but an endless unfolding, ever flexible, ever awake. A swordsman once stood before his master, eager to prove his skill. He performed swift strikes, each one planned in his mind before it reached the blade. Yet the master shook his head. "Your sword is fast," he said, "but your mind is slower. You are busy thinking of winning, and in that space between thought and action you lose." The lesson was clear. True mastery does not come from calculation, but from a mind that moves as freely as water. The Shaolin tradition calls this no mind, mushin. It is not emptiness in the sense of nothingness, but emptiness like a clear sky, open, spacious, allowing everything to pass without resistance. In this state, awareness is pure. The body responds without hesitation. The spirit acts without clinging to fear or hope. Water does not decide its shape, it simply flows where space allows. In the same way, a mind free of judgment adapts instantly. When force meets it, it yields. When an opening appears, it moves. There is no pause to calculate, no burden of doubt, no pride weighing it down, only presence. This teaching is not only for martial practice. In life's conflicts, the reactive mind lashes out, trapped in anger or fear, but the fluid mind responds with clarity, shaping itself to the moment without being broken by it. Such a mind cannot be trapped, because it clings to nothing. To cultivate no mind is to practice releasing the grip of thought, returning to breath, to stillness, to presence. Over time, the noise of inner judgment fades, and action begins to flow from a deeper place. Like water, it is soft yet unstoppable, yielding yet unshakable, calm yet carrying immense power. In the stillness of dawn, the monks gather in silence. No words are spoken, no movements are wasted. They stand, rooted like trees, their breath slow and steady. To the untrained eye, nothing seems extraordinary. Yet within that quiet posture, An entire world of strength is unfolding. This is neigong, the cultivation of inner power. Unlike the striking of fists or the clash of swords, neigong is invisible. It is not meant to dazzle the eyes, but to forge the unseen foundations of the self. Breath is the doorway. With each inhale, energy is gathered. With each exhale, it is released in balance. Over time, this practice transforms the body from the inside, awakening resilience, clarity, and calm. The fire of neigong is not wild or consuming. It is steady, like an ember that never fades. It burns beneath the surface, warming every movement with intention. A master who has trained this way may appear ordinary, yet when difficulty arises, their strength is unshaken. Their calmness itself becomes a force, measured, grounded, and immovable. Ancient teachers said that external techniques are like branches, but inner cultivation is the root. Without the root, the tree cannot endure. Neigong is this root. The alignment of breath, body, and spirit until they move as one. It sharpens awareness, deepens endurance, and steadies the mind so that action, when needed, flows effortlessly. In a world that values speed and spectacle, such calm strength is rare. Yet it is precisely this quiet power that lasts. The one who controls breath controls energy. The one who masters energy masters the self. And the one who masters the self carries a fire that no storm can extinguish. A traveler once sat beneath a tree, frustrated with his life. "I want wealth. I want power. I want peace," he muttered. An old monk passing by pointed to the tree's branches. "See how they stretch wide? They do so because the roots drink from the same earth that feeds the grass, the flowers, even the smallest seed nearby. Nothing grows alone." This is the essence of interbeing. Zen teachings remind us that every shift, whether of spirit, fortune, or influence, is part of a larger web. Your growth does not happen in isolation. The food you eat, the wisdom you study, the breath you draw, all are gifts carried to you through countless unseen connections. To believe success is yours alone is to forget the soil that nourished the seed. Spiritual awakening is not just a personal light. It radiates, changing how others move around you. Financial success, too, is not built by one pair of hands, but by the labors, trades, and trust of many. Even mastery of a skill carries echoes of those who taught, those who inspired, those who stood as examples in silence. The Shaolin path teaches discipline not for the self alone, but because your steadiness strengthens the circle around you. Your calm becomes refuge for another. Your clarity guides someone lost. In this way, personal mastery is never truly personal. It is woven into the fabric of all beings. When you rise, others rise with you. When you stumble, others feel the tremor. To live with this awareness is to honor the web. It calls for humility, gratitude, and responsibility. True wealth, true mastery, true influence, they are not possessions, but ripples moving outward, carried by the greater stream to which we all belong.